Good morning, everybody, and happy day 31 of our virtual field trips. I hope you're all doing well today. Sorry that we didn't get a chance to do our video at all yesterday. It turns out that, we had an opportunity to grab some pretty amazing rhubarb. So we decided to do that instead. And truthfully, it was kind of fun to just let that particular video that we did 2 days ago and just let that sit, because that was just kind of amazing. So anyways, we're in our white building today, which is our usual exhibit space. This is where our sort of more permanent exhibits tend to be for the site. And honestly, we haven't been in here much yet this year. Late last year, we did a big inventory of the things here, going through all the old boxes and just seeing what we could find in terms of artifacts. But one of the displays that we have in here is about a woman by the name of Julia Bullock-Webster. This is her right here. It's a self-portrait. Now, Julia is a big part of the site. Although, when people think of the site, they think of the mill itself, they think of the gardens. But Julia is really part of the energy of this place. You see, she lived in England. She was widowed, and she came in 1894 to visit the area. Her two sons were living here, homesteading, and so she did the trip all the way from England, all the way to here to visit them. Now, when you take a trip that long back then, you don't make it a short one. You don't stay for a couple of days and you leave. You tend to stay for a while. So that's exactly what she did. She stayed for almost 18 months. While she was here, she kept an amazing diary. And she also did a lot of painting. We've actually talked about her in some of these other videos before. So you can just imagine, here she is, this lovely woman, upper middle class, used to the finer things, living in the country and being just absolutely enchanted by every part of it. Now, it turns out she was well traveled. She actually visited a lot of other places. We had a visitor a couple of years ago come from South Africa. She had actually visited South Africa and had left a bunch of paintings and work behind in Johannesburg. So at the university there, they apparently do have a collection of her stuff as well, just like some of her stuff ended up being here. Now, her artwork is just phenomenal. Now, these are old reproductions. They don't catch all the quality of the originals. But here, why don't we turn the camera around and we can get a little bit closer. So she studied the plants that she was finding here in as much detail as she could. And she was really paying keen attention to what she was seeing. Pretty fantastic. But she also spent a lot of time admiring the landscape. And these are pretty wonderful sources for us. What did the Similkameen Valley look like back then? Long before that valley was full of farms and things like that. Now, some of her pieces in particular, like this one, I've mentioned before in another video. It's got this style of fence. It's called a Russell fence. They're very common back then because you didn't have to dig holes in the ground to be able to put these fences up. You could put them up fairly quickly to enclose land. And so when this site was turned into a heritage site, it was decided that Russell fences were what we were going to have along the front of the property. And it comes from, inspiration from paintings like hers. And there's another one. So she really was quite an accomplished artist. She also kept these amazing daily diaries. So just to give you a sense on what her diary would be like. May 10th, so just about a week ago. Lovely morning and warmer, views most lovely. The meadow is a brilliant green, and the river clear as the flood has gone down. Distant mountains so grand in the background. Our sweet little goslings are doing splendidly and now standing up on their own thin legs. Their feet are as such a size for such young things. The water has been turned on and use in a little channel close to their coop, and they paddle in it to their great enjoyment, much excitedly at finding a new flower, a most lovely one. The bloom is a trumpet shape of brilliant scarlet, and it grows taller and slender with these beautiful blooms down the stem as it grows in the driest places. We think it must be a salvia. The scent of the leaves is quite like it. I'm glad to hear it goes on flowering most of the summer. Ed, one of her sons, saw 4 wild sheep on the mountain just above the oat field, and it goes on and goes on. Now, most of her entries end with some mention about the eggs, because she loved the coop. And look what they had for dessert this day. Tapioca, stewed rhubarb, and cream. Now, this one even mentions Mr. Barrington Price, who is the man who built this place back in the 1870s. He's the one that owned the mill and the white building that we're currently in. Now, the best part is that we can find these references in her diary. Well, this one, talking about the flower, happens to match up with one of her paintings, where she actually documented what she saw. We're really lucky to have that combination of words and images. Now, the actual trip to come here was pretty arduous, as you can imagine, because, of course, she had to go all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. This isn't a picture of her place, but this gives you an idea of the kinds of situations that she would have found herself in. So she would have gone to somewhere back east, would have taken the train across the country, would have taken a paddle wheeler down the Okanagan Valley, down the lakes, and then taken some kind of cart over into the Similkameen Valley. You can just imagine what that would have been like. And eventually, at the end of it all, she left again. And so on April 23rd of 1895, she took the paddle wheeler out of Penticton, back up towards Vernon, and then on from there. Now, one of the really neat things that she did was she filled the rest of her diary with recipes. And we still go to those recipes sometimes, partly because they just have this nice little touch of the period. They're often very local, and I don't know exactly where she gathered them all from, but they're pretty special. So we have, in fact, made food from those. She does mention at one point that she cooked dinner for Mr. Barrington Price, the man who had this space that I'm in. She made him macaroni and cheese. And apparently, he was so pleased by the meal, he said something to the effect of, "It's not often we have a meal like this in these parts," which, it's mac and cheese. But I guess when you're making it from scratch, it's something pretty special. Anyways, that's just a little bit about the amazing Julia Bullock-Webster. Now, her artwork and her inspiration of, how she saw the valley is a big part of our gardens and the way that the landscape was designed here when this was turned into a heritage site. It's a pretty important piece. So often I'll think of her as the feminine side of the site, and Barrington Price as being the masculine. And the two coming together is what makes this place this place. So anyways, that's just a little about the amazing Julia Bullock-Webster. We have actually taken some of her art, and although it feels a little crass, we have turned it into some things. So in our online store on the website, you can get your own notebook now with one of her paintings on the cover. You can get a few other things like that as well. So anyways, if you're interested in owning a little bit of Julia, by all means, check those things out, and it's always a great support for us. Anyways, that's our video for today. Thank you so much for your support. Again, we are still thinking about when we might open for the season. We don't know. We don't have a definitive plan yet. But we are going to open in some capacity. So if you haven't done so yet, please consider going to our website, clicking on the support button, and finding the spot to buy yourself a season's pass to the site. That money really helps us out a lot. We haven't been asking for that kind of support in a while. But now that we know that we're going to open in some capacity, and honestly, because of how much we appreciate that support, we might actually do something a little extra for those people this year especially. So if you haven't got one already, please go on our website. Please buy yourself a season's pass to the place. We would really appreciate it. It would mean a lot to us. financially and otherwise. And yeah, share these videos. Let people know about us. We would love to welcome the appropriate number of visitors at the appropriate time. But the more people that know about us, the better off we'll be in the long run. So anyways, thank you very much for visiting today. I hope you enjoyed seeing a little bit of Julia's amazing work and learning a little bit about her. And we will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.